Win in Game 7 in the first round against Boston last year, made 33 saves. Each team has the third line out, and Game 7 is underway with the Stanley Cup on the line. Winner take all tonight here in Sunrise, Florida. Each team with the third line out to start the game. For Edmonton, that means Adam Henrique between Matthias Janmark and Connor Brown. Edmonton playing with the same 18 players in front of Bobrovsky, in front of Skinner, who won Game 6. Here's Anton Lundell across the line. Also the third line to start the game for Florida. And a backhand right on. Nico Mikkola. Headmans to Matthew Tkachuk. First goal always important, but you would think particularly so for a reeling Florida team that has fallen behind in each of the last 3 games right out of the gate. Mikkola moved it up the wall to Evan Rodriguez, the leading goal scorer in this series with 4. Steve Kozari and Dan O'Rourke are the referees. The linesmen are Johnny Murray and Matt McPherson. Darnell Nurse on defense now with the 22-year-old Philip Broberg up to the line for Zach Hyman. And now Nurse dumps it in and goes after it himself. The rest of the Oilers in the midst of a change. Here's a hit ahead for Sam Reinhart. He had to go to the corner to corral it and then got taken off the puck. Warren Foegele has had a terrific Stanley Cup final. He's riding a 4-game point streak. That is the longest of his career, regular season or postseason. Dmitry Kulikov got it inside the zone, sent right back out by Brett Kulak, and it's gloved down by Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Kyle Oposo in on the forecheck, and a big hit delivered by Ryan Lomberg into Kulak. Oposo, the only change to Paul Maurice's lineup from Game 6. He played in the first 5, was scratched for Nick Cousins in Game 6 in Edmonton. And the 37-year-old veteran out there for what might be his last NHL game of his career, trying to win his first Stanley Cup. Arm in the air for a penalty here. Dan O'Rourke, just 2:21 in. Might as well switch it up. Florida's 1 for 19 on the power play in this Stanley Cup final. The only tally by Evan Rodriguez in the third period of Game 2. They're 0 for 12 since. And back to the Eastern Conference final against the New York Rangers, 1 for their last 23. A man up. Meanwhile, the Edmonton penalty killing has been magnificent. Not only the 18 out of 19 in this series, but they've killed off 46 of 47. Stanley Cup. Looked like it might happen in a 4-game sweep. Now it's their last chance in 2024. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins went shorthanded. Edmonton has scored 2 shorthanded goals in this series, both game-opening tallies. One by Janmark and one by Brown.
A familiar pattern for the Panthers on this power play is they have not gotten set much at all in this series, so they have such limited opportunity to create anything. The Oilers have been letter perfect so far.
Tarasenko for Barkov, centered it, and it's off a stick. It was deflected by Janmark. Tarasenko cross ice. Barkov plays catch with Ekman-Larsson. Out in front and just a stride in front of Tarasenko, who would have had some empty net to shoot at as Skinner was still sliding across. Now Janmark gets hit so hard he lost his helmet. The check delivered by Barkov. 45 seconds on the Foegele penalty. Still not a shot on goal. And a good stick by Connor Brown. Here's Derek Ryan. His shot blocked by Brandon Montour. And now Rodriguez. Even with the changes to the power play, they put Ekman-Larsson up top, replacing Montour on the first unit in the last game. And now Tarasenko, part of the first power play unit tonight. Just more of the same, a sputtering Florida power play. Sam Bennett ahead for Carter Verhaeghe. Tried to send it out in front as he got taken back behind the net by Evan Bouchard. Lundell moved it in lower to Verhaeghe. Just 1 goal in this series. Rodriguez with Foegele now out of the box. They score! Evan Rodriguez threw it toward the net. And a 1-0 Florida lead.
Sean, you said before that the first goal, if it's not a Panther goal, would be critical. The Panthers need something positive. Here's Carter Verhaeghe, 1 goal in the series. Rodriguez's shot is going about 3 feet wide. Verhaeghe deflects it out of the air through the legs of Stuart Skinner. And the 34-goal score from the regular season sparks this crowd. It's 1-0 Florida.
He has a knack for being at his best when it means the most. Their first lead since the last game they won in Game 3. At least 1 point in Games 4, 5, and 6, the Panthers trailed by at least 3 goals. It's an even strength goal for Verhaeghe. And they almost sent Draisaitl in alone. McDavid tried to do that. As is so often the case after they've been shorthanded, Chris Knoblauch has McDavid and Draisaitl out together with Hyman, the third forward. Here's Zach Hyman, 16 goals in this postseason. McDavid blocked into the corner by Brandon Montour. And played out by the Florida captain Barkov. Darnell Nurse with Oposo finishing his check. Banked ahead by Broberg to center ice, taken back by Kevin Stanley. Now Broberg with Oposo again aggressively forechecking. Ryan touched it off. Nurse's pass is picked off. The defenseman Montour leads the rush. And the puck winds up on the near wall. Corey Perry there. He went down. Oposo trying to get away from Derek Ryan, who took the puck away. Rodriguez keeps it in. Ekman Larsson, the defenseman, in deep. He couldn't get control of the puck. Broberg got it out to Ryan. He got hit by Tkachuk. The Panthers noticeably more physical here in the first 6 minutes plus.
That early goal, a crowd that's now jumping again, something to cheer about. It is really a different look to the Panthers. Now the Oilers have to take a deep breath and get themselves back to work.
Verhaeghe the goal, his 11th, his first since Game 1. The 5-game goalless drought's the second longest of his playoff career. Rodriguez and Tkachuk the assists at 4:27. An even strength goal came just after the power play was over. Here's Janmark in alone. He scores! Mattias Janmark has tied it at 1. And the Oilers have scored on their last 5 breakaways against Sergei Bobrovsky.
In Game 1, they went low twice on Bobrovsky. Since then, they've started to go high. This is a gorgeous pass from Cody Ceci. Ceci looks up and sees Janmark stretched behind Aaron Ekblad. This deflects off of Bobrovsky's pad and goes up to the top of the net. Janmark scored a shorty in Game 4. He's tied the game at 1 here in Game 7.
He's had a terrific Stanley Cup final. That's his second goal in addition to the shorthanded tally. His 4th of the playoffs. A backhand right on by Barkov as Florida quickly counters. Gustav Forsling. That's wide and free behind the goal line. Played into the corner by Verhaeghe. Poked by Barkov. And now Reinhart pinned by Evan Bouchard. Reinhart and others been in a drought. Forsling fan on the second try sent it toward the net, and it was knocked down by Mattias Ekholm, part of the top defense pair for Edmonton, along with Evan Bouchard. Mattias Janmark came into tonight in the Stanley Cup final +5. That was tied with Connor McDavid for second best on this Edmonton team. Philip Broberg +7 through the first 6 games of this Stanley Cup final. He's out on defense now with Nurse. Skinner's pass too hot for Nurse. Played back into the corner by Tarasenko. Out in front. Losterinen threw it toward the net. It hit a body and bounced past the right post. And this will be an icing call against Edmonton. Off the faceoff, Rodriguez had his shot blocked by Foegele. Shot from the point by Mikkola got through to Skinner. And now Dylan Holloway the other way for Edmonton. Foegele. And now Draisaitl. He got rattled by Rodriguez. Here's Bennett with Tkachuk. Dump and chase. And it's Tkachuk. Right on Ceci. Kulikov sent it in deeper. Went past Tkachuk. Ekman Larsson put a bump into Holloway. And this is another icing.
Nothing is going to settle down tonight.
Denmark from Ceci at 6:44. The hits are 16-4 in favor of Florida. Clearly they've come out with the intent of being more physical. Chickley in the offensive zone, trying to create some turnovers off the forecheck and some chances. Kevin Stenlund now. Behind the net. Poso worked it to Lomberg. Now Ekman Larsson. That one went wide. Might have grazed Kulak on the way. Kulikov played it in deeper for a Poso. And it's taken away by Ceci, who's already been a standout in a Game 7 in these playoffs. He had a goal in their Game 7 in the second round against Vancouver in that 3-2 win that sent them on to the conference final. Ceci. It went past Ekblad. There to cover was Forsling. Nicely ahead to Reinhart. Indirect for Verhaeghe. Centers one. And it pops in the air and winds up along the back wall. Now Matthias Ekholm. He banks it ahead, trying to send Hyman away. Hyman spins Forsling off the puck. Reinhart there to help for Florida. Zach Hyman back to the line. Ekholm a one-timer off the blocker of Bobrovsky. Ekblad couldn't get it around and out. Ekholm across to Bouchard. His shot hit the skate of Reinhart. Adam Henrique to Bouchard. And now Ekholm. That one's knocked down by Bobrovsky. 9.5 to go in a scintillating first period of Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final, tied at 1. Bouchard across to Ekholm. And now Janmark, the 31-year-old veteran, all the way to the goal line. He centered it, hoping for a tip in from Henrique, who was tied up. Good pressure by the Oilers, and that one's gloved out of the air off the stick of Bouchard into the glove of Bobrovsky.
For him to watch, because they had so many conversations about him winning it in Buffalo.
Very popular player, 17th year, just the 4th time in the playoffs. Trying to win the Stanley Cup in what might well be his last NHL game. Stenlund into the circle. And Kevin Stenlund bidding for his first goal of this postseason. He's played in every game. 4th line out. And Ray Oposo, the decision to play him has been a good one so far. He has been a big part of this physical tone being set by Florida.
This 4th line has had 3 really good shifts, and Oposo has been in the middle of all of them.
1,051 regular season games for Oposo. Tonight just the 41st playoff game. All those years in Buffalo, never made the playoffs. Weaving across the line is Foegele, but they're a mile offside. In favor of Edmonton, with each team with 1 goal tonight.
I didn't think at the time the 8-1 loss was that significant, other than it was a loss in the series. But since then, Florida got back on their heels. The Edmonton team looked much more comfortable, and this is where we sit because of it.
Draisaitl back to Ceci. He banked it off the corner boards. Foegele tried to jam it in front and could not. And the Panthers clear. Of course, lots of conversation about momentum. Does it carry over? You would have to think Edmonton came in here feeling great about the way it was going, and Florida perhaps a bit stunned with how dramatically it turned and how poorly it went for them in the last 3.
To the point that they made a couple of routine changes. They practiced yesterday, not today, which is different than they've done, and change it up a little bit, see if they can find a little more energy.
Bouchard up the wall and pinching in Ekblad. That's one difference Paul Maurice hopes to see tonight. He wants his team to continue to be aggressive, but also careful about not making bad decisions on when to pinch in the offensive zone. Bouchard, a blast at the post. He's had 35 shots in the playoffs of more than 90 miles per hour. That's more than twice as many as anybody. McDavid's shot didn't get to the net, slowed by Forsling, who lost his stick. Bouchard has to be careful. Reinhart right on his heels. And again, Florida crowds the wall with the puck in the corner. That last Bouchard shot was 90 miles per hour. One of the hardest shots in the NHL, the 24-year-old defenseman from Toronto, who's having an historic playoff season. Anton Lundell, the 22-year-old. Around for Tarasenko, who's the only player on either team who's played in a Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final. He was on the winning side in the last Game 7 in a Cup final. That was 5 years ago, and he and the St. Louis Blues won the first Stanley Cup in franchise history with a 4-1 win.
Forsling not able to stop Janmark, and his breakaway makes it 1-1.
18th Game 7 in a Stanley Cup final. The home team 12-5 all time. But the visiting team has won the last 3. We mentioned the last Game 7, St. Louis, the win at Boston 5 years ago. Connor Brown waits for help to arrive. Adam Henrique put it on net. It caromed off Bobrovsky toward the slot. And now played up and out by Kulikov, taken back by Janmark. Nurse got it to Broberg. Broberg fell down. The puck wound up near Brown. He got knocked to the ice. Draisaitl up for Cody Ceci. Ekman Larson lost the puck, and it was jammed to the front by Brown and smothered.
Nobody looks out of sorts yet, but the next goal is really like the first goal again, and I think the Panthers need it.
They've had the edge in faceoffs in this series. They've won more than 53% of the draws. Draws were even at 5-5 tonight. Ceci sent it toward the net. Played back by Kulak. Now Draisaitl. Ceci intentionally off the back wall, hoping Fogle could field it off the cairn. Instead, it was played out by Migala. Rolling puck for Matthew Tkachuk. Racing to get there, Montour. He just did keep it in, and then wristed one that wound up in the left wing corner. Nico Mikkola, the 6'5" defenseman from Finland, who was on the St. Louis Blues in 2019 but did not play in the Stanley Cup final. Like to get his name on the Stanley Cup. Evan Rodriguez knocked down by Dylan Holloway. And a hand pass whistle.
Playoffs, very focused, obviously a very talented group, but very dedicated to getting the job done.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
What a job Chris Knoblauch has done. Came the coach of the Edmonton Oilers on November 13th. He had started his 5th season in Hartford as the coach of the New York Rangers minor league affiliate in the AHL. But after a 3-9-1 start, Edmonton made a coaching change, and Knoblauch has literally pushed all the right in NHL history, and a 5-gamer in February. So when they lost the first 3 games of this Stanley Cup final, they said no big deal. Every time that's happened under this coach, we've won at least 4 in a row. Here's Ryan Lomberg, knocked down by Skinner, and a follow-up sent to the far boards. Played in behind the net to Reinhart. Back to Forsling. He can rip it as well. Matter of fact, in these playoffs, he has the second most 90-mile-per-hour shots behind Bouchard. Barkov fanned as he tried to send it in, then got knocked down by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Bunted back to the back wall, and Verhaeghe had it hop over his stick. He has the Florida goal, and then Janmark tied it on a breakaway goal for Edmonton. We're under 3 minutes to go in the opening period. Shots are even at 6 apiece. Zach Hyman had it taken away by Barkov. Now Verhaeghe slides it in from the center zone, and the Florida Panthers will change. Banked ahead by Kulak and taken back by Tarasenko. Kulikov had it deflect off the stick of Luostarinen. Ceci moved it up the wall. Ceci didn't get it out. Here's a chance for Kulikov. And he races back to the point to keep it in. Kulikov had gone 27 games without a point until he had an assist in Game 6. That dates back to the regular season. He very nearly had his first goal of this postseason. Under 2 minutes to go in this first period. Ceci snaps it in from center ice. Edmonton is changing. Kulikov now 33 years old. He's played for 8 different teams. And this is his second tour of duty in Florida, where he started his career. Draisaitl up to Warren Foegele. And turned over to Brandon Montour. Mikkola tried to move it between his legs. Rodriguez dodged Draisaitl and sends it in behind. 1:25 in the period. Pinching in Montour. Did well to play it. Down low, Tkachuk. Stopped, and it wound up in the netting.
They were able to turn the puck over and get a couple scoring chances.
Face-off won by Florida. Verhaeghe shot blocked. 1-1 game late in the first period. Verhaeghe flipped it toward the net again. A bouncing puck. Knocked down by Barkov to Reinhart. That was blocked by Bouchard. 3 in the corner. The forecheck working for Florida. Out in front. Barkov was tied up. And then it got jammed to the near wall for Verhaeghe. Ekblad with 45 seconds in the period. Reinhart was shoved down by Ekholm. Verhaeghe got it to the front of the net, but Barkov couldn't possess it. Now here's Hyman trying to bank it around Forsling. Ekblad came to the aid of Forsling. Very little from Connor McDavid in this first period. He didn't have a point. He didn't even have a shot on goal in Game 6. Here's Mikkola racing to keep it in. Try to center. Both McDavid and Ceci stuck their sticks out. Cross ice. Across the top of the crease. 5 seconds in the period. Luostarinen behind the net. It clanged off Lundell. Montour lets it go. And a stop by Skinner at the buzzer. Would have been interesting to see if that would have counted.
To play like that. That's the roadmap for the Panthers.
Both teams at full strength. As the second period begins, there was only one power play in the first period for Florida. They did not score. They scored just after it ended. Brett Kulak one-hands one into the slot. And it's picked up and skated in the other direction by Evan Rodriguez. With Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett. Bennett first there, centered one and went past Rodriguez and Tkachuk. Now Montour tipped by Tkachuk. Henrique and Lundell the face-off. Henrique wanted it into the corner, but it was taken away by Florida. Lundell tried to center it. It wound up on the stick of Adam Henrique. Backhanded in by Connor Brown. Henrique in on the forecheck on Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Verhaeghe, the first goal of the game at 4:27. His 11th of these playoffs. Tarasenko, that's off Skinner. And into the near corner. Lundell fell down as he went after it. He was sitting on top of the puck momentarily. Now Darnell Nurse there for Edmonton. Luostarinen there, and it comes free to Broberg. Philip Broberg. Less than 2 months ago, he was playing in the AHL playoffs for Bakersfield, where he spent most of the season. When that season ended, they were eliminated in 2. Bakersfield. Perhaps it's a good thing that they were, because Broberg joined the team. They were already, the Oilers, 3 games into their first round series against Los Angeles. Broberg sat around for a month before he got put into the lineup after he did not play in the first 15 Edmonton playoff games of this postseason. But he's gone in and he's been terrific. Here's Bouchard. Sent one over the head of Sergei Bobrovsky. Here's McDavid. Put a backhand right on. Bobrovsky stood tall for that one. Now Matthias Ekholm. Across for Bouchard. Hit some traffic at the top of the slot. Bouchard battling Verhaeghe now, and it's cleared out. Verhaeghe's goal, the 11th of these playoffs, ties the Panthers franchise record for most goals in a postseason.
It's about having him behind the bench as he sees the game as both the star D and the defenseman that might not be the star D. That high flip is a tough thing to handle for the Panthers defense, and Coffey sees it as a way out.
He was not on the staff when the season began. He joined the staff when Chris Knobloch was named the head coach in mid-November. Here's Kyle Oposo, one-on-one on Brett Kulak for the moment. Oposo behind the net. He still has not scored a goal as a Florida Panther. Came over the trade deadline from Buffalo, played in 6 regular season games and now 16. This is his 17th in the playoffs without scoring for Florida. Wouldn't it be something if he did it tonight? Mikkola from a tough angle. Rodriguez played it back. Bennett took it away. Bennett a shot. Rebound free. Rodriguez couldn't put it on net. Bodies are flying. There's a delayed call here. Or is it not a delayed call? It's going against Florida for a trip. He got tossed. McDavid stepped in and won the draw. Bouchard for Draisaitl. McDavid out in front. Good stick. And a shot by Bouchard. Knocked the stick out of Forsling's hand. He gets a stick from Stenlund.
It's the wrong hand. Forsling's left. It's a right stick.
Draisaitl shoved into the boards by Luostarinen. A minute and a half on the first power play of the night for Edmonton. McDavid, Bouchard. Stenlund still without a stick. Save made by Bobrovsky. Luostarinen couldn't get enough on it. They desperately need to clear and get Stenlund a stick and get Forsling the right stick. Nugent Hopkins, Bouchard. McDavid for Draisaitl. Draisaitl and Hyman have 6 power play goals in these playoffs to lead all power play goal scorers. Draisaitl didn't get it to the net. Stenlund couldn't sweep it out with a glove. Still without a stick. Hard enough to defend this Edmonton power play. Even harder when one of your 4 skaters doesn't have a stick. McDavid circles, throws it to the side of the net. Covered by Bobrovsky. McDavid, the face-off with Barkov. It comes to Kulikov, and now Sam Reinhart with some time and space, and he sends it down with under a half minute to go on the Tkachuk penalty.
That's a big win for Barkov. They burned 15 seconds with the win and clear.
McDavid, they drop it back to him, so he comes with some speed. Doesn't take him long to get to full speed. Bouchard, top power play out here the entire time for Edmonton. Nugent Hopkins threw it across the crease. 5 seconds on the Tkachuk penalty. We're tied at 1 in the second period. Bouchard a shot. Squeezed by Bobrovsky just as the penalty expires. At least 3 goals in each of the last 4. Right on the heels of a stretch when he gave up 2 or fewer in 12 out of 13 games. Edmonton is offside. A remarkable turnaround. How would you evaluate his play so far tonight, Ray?
I think he's been terrific. This is the early season or early series Bobrovsky. You know, he got ventilated for 5 goals on 16 shots in game 4, and all of a sudden like the wheels were off a little bit. He did not skate yesterday, which is very rare for him. He was one of the routine changes they talked about. He skated this morning, got himself some shots and some work like he normally does on game morning, and he's been really sharp for 25 minutes, as has Stuart Skinner at the other end.
The only goal allowed by Bobrovsky on the breakaway. Verhaeghe lost it. It slid into the circle to Janmark. They are the 2 goal scorers, Verhaeghe and Janmark. Janmark a breakaway goal. And icing is the call.
And they've had a good start to the second period. 4th
line out for each team. For Paul Maurice, career game number 1985 as an NHL head coach. 1,848 of those in the regular season. You can do the rest of the math. Derek Ryan to Corey Perry. Would he win the Stanley Cup tonight, he would have coached the most games in league history before winning his first Stanley Cup.
We don't love the penalty. It's not a factor in the game.
Right off the face-off, a testing shot by Fogle. And Mikkola played it around, didn't get it past Draisaitl. And the Cats clear with Evan Rodriguez. Had it batted down to the line by Cody Ceci, who assisted on the Edmonton goal. Rodriguez put it right on net, turned to the corner by Stuart Skinner. Draisaitl 4-on-3 across the red line. He's still on the move. Holloway. That's blocked into the corner by Niko Mikkola. More than 7 minutes played second period. Game 7. Winner take all tonight for the Stanley Cup. They're tied at 1. Here's Verhaeghe. Jams the brakes on. Waits for the line change to be completed. Reinhart. 57 goals in the regular season. Only one in this series. Along the dasher for Verhaeghe. Throws it toward the net. And it's covered by Skinner. In a 7-year span. Florida trying to win the first cup in their 30-year history. This is their third trip to the cup final, including last year where they lost in 5 to Vegas. Here's Broberg. Into the corner, changes direction, trying to get away from Lundell. Henrique blocked up high, but it came back to him. Ekman-Larsson, a bouncing puck is kept in by Henrique. Behind the net, Lundell. Good pressure by Edmonton. Florida had a 3-minute advantage in the first period in offensive zone time, and that's considerable. Ekholm, Bouchard scales it around, stopped behind the net by Kulikov. He's double teamed. Ekman-Larsson comes in to put a hit into Nugent-Hopkins. And another takeaway, this time by McDavid. Ekholm races to keep it in. Matthias Ekholm handed it off for Zach Hyman. Great pressure by Edmonton. Trying to get the go-ahead goal. Bouchard. McDavid falls down as he tried to change directions. Under 11 minutes to go, second period. Lots of room for Ekholm. He steps into one, and it's gloved out of the air.
Last half of game 7.
Off the draw comes to Aaron Ekblad. Ahead for Barkov. He goes into forecheck on Brett Kulak. Barkov back to the line. Ekblad looking for a tip and got it from Barkov, who fends off Kulak. Now Reinhart in a race to the wall with Ceci, who knocked down Reinhart and won the puck. Ryan McLeod sends Kulak on his way. The Edmonton native handed it off of Corey Perry. Now Ekholm. Perry into forecheck. Playing in his 215th career playoff game, 12th all time. And most among active players. He's 39, but Perry says no matter what happens tonight, this will not be his last game. He feels like he's 25 years old. Rodriguez from the top of the circle. Bouncing puck centered, but nobody at the top of the crease for Florida. Tkachuk got away from Ekholm. Now Bennett lost it to Fogle. McDavid ahead for Bouchard. Across the line with Hyman heading toward the net. Evan Rodriguez. Tkachuk. Along the dasher for a while, played back by Broberg. Nurse upended Tkachuk in the corner. The Panther fans want to call, they're not going to get it. Broberg to the red line, gloved down by Stenlund. Lomberg into forecheck. He put a hit in a Nurse, not much of one. Lomberg has it from Oposo. Defended by Henrique. Lomberg, Oposo. Broberg the defender. Under 9 minutes to go, second period, as Oposo sent it toward the cage. Stenlund, good pressure by the Florida fourth line. Stenlund banked it off the back glass. Tried to work it to the front, held off by Henrique. Here's Broberg. He'll turn 23 tomorrow. He'd like to have quite a dual celebration if he could celebrate 23 while in possession of the Stanley Cup. Ryan. It's Barkov rather on the forecheck. Verhaeghe knocked down by Skinner. Ryan tried to golf it out. Verhaeghe kept it in. Cody Ceci sends Janmark after it in a race with Ekblad. No icing. Forsling there to help. Forsling was on for the Janmark goal. He's -6 in the last 4 games. Stunning, given that he led the NHL regular season in plus-minus and was leading the playoffs as well before this downturn. Connor Brown with Holloway just on. Here's Draisaitl cycling. Missed Holloway on the pass. Reinhart there. Now Draisaitl for Bouchard. Back to the German. Draisaitl put it on net. Knocked down by Bobrovsky. Territorial edge here in the second period for Edmonton. Ekholm. Bouchard at the line. Draisaitl. 8 games without a goal. Where players had 40 in each of the last 5 seasons. 40 plus. Now it's the Edmonton fans who want a penalty as Hyman got knocked down. Forsling played it ahead. Bouchard spins it quickly for Draisaitl at the end of his shift. 4 minutes without a whistle now. And under 7 to go in the second period. Tied at 1. Verhaeghe and Janmark, the goal scores in the first. Spirited battle along the boards. Bouchard couldn't glove it down. He slowed Luostarinen just enough to allow Ekholm to get there first. The 32-year-old Swede lost it to Luostarinen for a minute. Tarasenko helps Luostarinen and sends it around to the near wall. Brandon Montour pitches in. Went past Luostarinen for Tarasenko. And now Ekholm. Tarasenko and Carter Verhaeghe, the only Florida Panthers playing tonight who have won a Stanley Cup. Verhaeghe won one with Tampa Bay. And Corey Perry is the only player in action for Edmonton tonight who has won the cup. Now in his 5th Stanley Cup final with 5 different teams. 5 minutes without a stoppage. Nugent Hopkins backhanded one on net. Here's Rodriguez on the move, but a good stick by Broberg to poke it away in the neutral zone. Up and down they go. Montour. Bennett. Backhanded, a sloppy rebound by Skinner. Slid back toward him by Henrique, and Skinner still couldn't tie it up. Rodriguez held off by Henrique. Foegele. Bennett fell down as he tried to pester Foegele. Long pass, Broberg to Holloway. One 22-year-old to another. Holloway tries to duck under a check from Dmitry Kulikov. Foegele around to the point to Ceci. Reinhart got in the way but couldn't clear. Foegele tries to walk out in front. It was Frey in the crease and played away from harm. Here's Reinhart on the counter. Sam Reinhart scores!
This has happened forever in hockey. A great chance at one end. Foegele's shot is stopped by Bobrovsky, and Kulikov shovels it behind the net. A quick up on the breakout by Verhaeghe, and Sam Reinhart got all kinds of room. A miscommunication. Kulak and Ceci, the 2 Oiler defensemen, back way in, and it gives Reinhart, the 57-goal scorer, enough time to beat Stuart Skinner. We said in the opening, they need something from their big boys. And we pointed out Verhaeghe, we pointed out Skinner, we pointed out Tkachuk. 2 of the 3 of them are on the board, and the Panthers lead 2-1.
Reinhart didn't have a point in the previous 3 games. All of them Florida defeats. He had a goal in game 3. His only goal in the last 8. And this place is rocking again. 10th goal of the playoffs for Sam Reinhart, who will be an unrestricted free agent when this one is over. They'd love to re-sign him. Here's Kevin Stenlund without a goal in the playoffs. Tucked one home. Made a terrific move to move Skinner out of position and couldn't finish. Poso, this fourth line has been a going concern all night long. Stenlund with Poso and Lomberg. Here's Perry weaving into the offensive end, plucked away by Luostarinen. Sent the length of the ice through a couple of defensemen, but icing will be the call.
Reinhart, that kind of room. Reinhart was looking across the net early for a pass to Barkov. He didn't have to pass it. He had enough time to pick his spot.
Reinhart is 10th of the playoffs, is second of the Stanley Cup final. 67 goals total now, regular season and playoffs for Sam Reinhart. Verhaeghe and Kulikov the assists. Back comes McDavid, played it off, and that one winds up wide. Sam Reinhart is the only Panthers played in all 210. And he just scored what might turn out to be the biggest goal in franchise history. Still a long way to go here in Sunrise. 3:15 in the second period of Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Florida now leading 2-1, leading for the second time tonight. And an assist on that goal by Dmitry Kulikov.
He's hot.
Yeah, 27 games without a point back to the last 5 of the regular season, and now back-to-back games with an assist for Kulikov.
And he saved that rebound sitting in the crease behind Bobrovsky, and that started that play.
This goes to show you points do not tell the tale, particularly for defensive-minded defensemen like Kulikov. Centering pass, it got deflected, wound up with Broberg as we get down to 2.5 minutes to go, second period. Broberg blocked up high by Bennett, and the puck cleared the zone. Broberg played it back in, delayed offside, taken down as the Oilers tag up. Montour snapped off the stick of Lundell. Nurse there. Big hit. Luostarinen just on. Stopped Janmark in his tracks. Darnell Nurse has it directed out of the zone by Holloway. They wave icing off as Mikkola corrals it with 2 minutes to go in period 2. Big edge in hits. That's been the case from the very beginning. Florida plus 15 in hits. Kulak, the only Oiler to play in all 107 games of this season. Here's a steal by Janmark. He circles and then lost the puck. Quickly the other way, Verhaeghe. Bouncing puck. Barkov drops it back. Kulikov. And an easy glove save made by Skinner. He had more than 100 points in the regular season. Here's a centering pass by Rodriguez. Only 6 times in final history as a 100-point scorer failed to score a goal. Under a minute to go.
Doesn't look like he's got a lot of pop to his stride. He has not been involved anywhere near as much as he usually does.
It looked like he did in Game 6.
Yes, his best. His
publicly said that he was not happy with the way he was playing. Reinhart for Verhaeghe. Stops just short of the top of the circle. Down to 26 seconds to go in the period. Plenty of time for a counter, especially when it's this man with the puck. McDavid stopped on the rush by Ekblad. Hyman moves it to Bouchard. Rebound batted out of the air by Forsling. 10 seconds in the period. And that'll be an icing call. And Edmonton will get an offensive zone face-off.
Easy stop.
Barkov clears. And the Florida Panthers will take a 2-1 lead to the third period.
It's really been remarkable to watch how the ice has shrunk on him. Florida's done a really good job of checking. PK and Mesh showed it in the break about how Florida's defended so well. There's just not been a lot of room for him so far, but guess what? You're the best in the game. The Oilers need you now.
Absolutely. They got back into this series on the back of their captain. Down 3-0. Lundell centers, hoping for a tip from F2 Lostarinen. Ekman-Larsson up high. It was deflected by Connor Brown, who broke his stick. He heads to the Edmonton bench. Oliver Ekman-Larsson behind the net for Tarasenko. Tried to wrap around, and Stuart Skinner held the post. Janmark has the Edmonton goal. Not the first time he's delivered in a Game 7. He had a hat trick in a Game 7 for Vegas in the first round of 2021. Not in the Stanley Cup final. It was in round 1 against Minnesota. But he and Joel Kiviranta of Dallas are the only active players who've ever had a hat trick in a Game 7 of a playoff series. There's never been one in Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final. Bouchard put one on net. Bodies tumble. Here's McDavid for Ekholm. Passed up the shot. Sutters one onto the stick of Verhaeghe. He takes off for the moment, one-on-one on Bouchard, but Verhaeghe a little bit out of gas and had no help on the rush. Verhaeghe scored the first goal of this hockey game for Florida. Janmark tied it on a breakaway for Edmonton in the first period. Then Sam Reinhart, the difference maker so far. Bennett a shot. High and wide over the glove of Stuart Skinner. Evan Rodriguez. It goes past Bennett. He's in hot pursuit of the puck and Cody Ceci. Now Draisaitl. Will he emerge as a factor in the third period of Game 7? He's running out of time to have an impact. No shots on goal for Draisaitl tonight. 41 goals in the regular season. Dylan Holloway trying to move it deeper toward the corner. And it's sandwiched out by Nico Mikkola. Glove down by Kulak off the stick of Draisaitl, who just is not moving briskly at all. Bad turnover by Montour at the line. And then Montour toned for the mistake. A diving play to tip that pass away, or Perry was going to be one-on-one on Bobrovsky. Lomberg flying into forecheck. Brian Lomberg for Stenlund. And now Ryan McLeod. And the Oilers clear. 3 minutes gone by, third period. Ekman-Larsson, nice pass ahead to Lostarinen, who didn't play in the Cup final last year with a broken leg. Ekblad lost it. Another bad turnover up high, but defended well by the Cats as they were dealing with Hyman. Here's a penalty coming
on this group.
They have one power play goal in the series. They've given up 2 shorties. Barkov, a shot smothered.
What's going on in their minds?
I can't help. You'd like to help. You can't. For whatever reason, you're not in the lineup, and you can just hope.
Oilers penalty kill historically great. In these playoffs, feels like they must kill another, or they'll go down by 2 in the third period of Game 7. Dangerous shorthanded. Lofted down by Henrique, and Bobrovsky leaves the bouncing puck for Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
This is the most dangerous duo so far in the series. It's Janmark and Brown shorthanded, but the Panthers can't play scared. You got the power play. Go get the puck and get set.
Strange bounce. Here come the Oilers. Short-handed. It's that duo again. Janmark for Brown, and he couldn't quite tip it as Bennett went streaking back on the back check. Quickly the other way. Evan Rodriguez stopped by Broberg. It comes to Lundell. 50 seconds on the power play. 15-24 in the third period. 2-1 Florida. Indirect for Sam Bennett. And he snaps it over the net. Carter Verhaeghe Lundell, this is the second power play group for Florida. Bennett with lots of room in the circle. Long carom to Ekblad at the point. Swept along by Lundell. 25 seconds on the Bouchard penalty. 15 minutes to go in the third period of Game 7. Ekblad tried to one-time it. It was an awkward spot. Went off the heel of his stick. 13 seconds on the power play for Florida. Edmonton has allowed only 4 power play goals this entire postseason. And Skinner had to be alert to make sure that number didn't go to 5. Barkov and Derek Ryan the face-off. Won by Barkov. Forsling, that's blocked out in front by Ceci. Out of the box, Bouchard. Edmonton back at full strength. The penalty killing continues to be magnificent. They've given up only 4 goals while shorthanded in these playoffs. They've scored 3 shorthanded goals. That's incredible.
Of course, Ekblad and Forsling are out there as well.
That's been their best defensive pair all year. Skinner gave it to Draisaitl in a bit of an awkward spot at the bottom of the circle. The pass batted down by Tkachuk. Now Bennett tried to center it for Tkachuk, and that was broken up by Bouchard. Bennett got upended by Ekholm at the side of the net. He's back on his feet, tried to center, picked off by Draisaitl. Typically, this is what Edmonton has done when they're behind late. They put Draisaitl back with McDavid. Get 2 of the best forwards in the world on the same line. Just wondered, Ray, if they do that with Draisaitl, given how ineffective he's been in this series.
Well, maybe Draisaitl needs to help more than usual here. He talked a couple of times. He's just not got the pop in his stride that he most normally has.
Here's McDavid trying to dance to the forehand, and it got taken away. Sent back in by Cody Ceci. 2-1 Florida in this winner-take-all Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Game number 1400 of this NHL season. And day number 259, which makes it the longest season in NHL history. And arguably the best. Glove save on Fogle made by Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
And the big guns out there again for Chris Knobloch. McDavid with Draisaitl and Hyman and Bouchard and Ekholm, the top D pairing. Bouchard's flipped to the net, handled with ease by Sergei Bobrovsky, who's had a nice bounce back here in Game 7, helped by the fact that he hasn't faced that many testing shots. The 1 goal for Edmonton came on a breakaway.
Excellent defensive game for the league's best team defensively through the season. Just 200 goals against. Now can the Oilers and this line in particular get inside the house, inside the dots? Can they test Bobrovsky? Because tonight they've been pushed to the outside at almost every turn.
Every face-off enormous now. Hyman has had a tremendous season. 70 goals combining the regular season and playoffs. Does he have another in him? It's cleared out by Reinhart. McDavid will get there first. And he sent it across for Ekholm. Down to 12:15 to go in the third period. 2-1 Florida trying to win the Stanley Cup for the first time in their 30-year history.
Today, when it comes to comparing players, the backs of their hockey cards just won't cut it. Get the stats behind the stats with NHL Edge, featuring its one-of-a-kind comparison tool. Know more about every stat, every shift, and every star with NHL Edge.
One of the issues when you put McDavid and Draisaitl on the ice is the Panthers can really focus a lot of their top defensive players against one line. Adam Henrique's line here is a dangerous group, but they're not prolific scorers. So where does the offense come from? What if they shut down McDavid and Draisaitl? Can somebody else give you a needed goal? Those are the questions Chris Knobloch has to answer behind the Oiler bench.
This third line has given them more offense than they could have expected, but can they continue to count on that? Under 12 minutes to go. Scaled around and stayed on the dasher for a while. It goes past Broberg, and that will be an icing. Lundell and Draisaitl to face off. One back to Ekholm. To Bouchard. McDavid. The handoff for Draisaitl. Draisaitl down low. Forced behind the net by Mikkola. Draisaitl for Bouchard. Ekholm, a one-timer. Off Bobrovsky to the corner. Played around by Lundell. Ekholm steps into one. That hit Mikkola. Florida on its heels here. Close to Reinhart, skated it out. And the Panthers will get a change.
The Panthers play man-on-man in the defensive zone. They've been hung up high a couple of times. Draisaitl had some room.
He's still out there. Leon Draisaitl turned it over to Bennett. Now here comes Evan Rodriguez with Tkachuk, and he's offside.
Well, in 2011, 13 years ago today.
He has great memories of June 24th. I was at the XL Center in Minnesota, hoping they'd win a Stanley Cup on this day as well. He has work to do. Nugent Hopkins, been through a lot in his tenure in Edmonton, including 9 head coaches, 4 general managers, in 8 years out of 9 when they were 23rd or worse in the NHL in points. Here is Nugent Hopkins, who had a chance to leave as a free agent 3 years ago and stayed, believing the future would be brighter. Here's Kulak. 10 minutes to go. We're halfway through the third period in Game 7. Florida still leading 2-1. It has been the case throughout Game 7s in Stanley Cup final history. Low scoring. The average total goal scoring is just over 4. And only 3 on the board tonight. Corey Perry, rink wide behind Broberg. He did well. Turned that one and carried into the zone. Ridden to the wall by Ekman Larsson. Ryan in there battling 3 Panthers. Reinhart didn't see Perry coming till the last minute. Kulikov, Lomberg, 4th line on for both sides. Lofted out by Kulikov. Does it feel, Ray, like perhaps Bouchard, Ekholm, Draisaitl, McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman and company out there again. All the way to the net. In the midst of a change, Reinhart went by himself against 2 defenders and nearly managed to get a shot from point-blank range. Off on Skinner. McDavid penetrated, but could not get far across the line. 8.5 minutes to go. Feels like McDavid has played almost the entire third period with their season on the line. Trying to win the cup, but for these combatants tonight, much of it is about legacy as well. In this series, McDavid will be known for the back-to-back 4-point games. First in final history to do that. That got them back into the series. But right now, a big part of that legacy is going to be Games 6 and 7, when he did not have a point. Bobrovsky.
Ekholm and Bouchard, though, all played together for most of the rest of the third period.
Well, McDavid is in phenomenal shape.
He has always been remarkable.
Ekholm off the draw. 4 icings against Florida in 3.5 minutes. Feels like they're hanging on just a bit. McDavid lost it up high and it was poked out by Montour, who's been better tonight for Florida. McDavid tried to center off the skate of Bennett. Free to Draisaitl on his forehand. Draisaitl threw it toward the net. Now McDavid to Bouchard. Pad save by Bobrovsky. Didn't know that it came to the near wall for just a second. Draisaitl gave it to Ekholm. Bouchard turned aside by Bobrovsky at the top of his crease. Bouchard down low. McDavid. Free puck Hyman. And they cannot score. Florida trying to become the 22nd active franchise to win the cup. Ekholm sends it down low. McDavid out there again, centers one. It was in the air, batted at by Draisaitl. Florida has not had a shot attempt since 1439.
Montour somehow keep it out. The Oilers are close. They got to find one more shot.
It's a long time to play rope-a-dope if you're the Florida Panthers. It's Verhaeghe. All right, Scott, thank you. 5:54 to go in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Florida won the first 3 games, Edmonton the last 3, and Florida leads this one 2-1. Along the near boards, Anton Lundell with help from Tarasenko. It squirts inside the line and played quickly back out by Kulikov. Tarasenko! And it's squeezed by Stuart Skinner.
On the ice against this Oiler group.
Best against best with 5.5 minutes to go in regulation. Hyman after it. It'll be an icing call against Edmonton. Conn Smythe Trophy favorite, which he was when they led 3-0. It was a foregone conclusion. He was going to be the playoff MVP. The Conn Smythe is for the entire playoffs. Here's McDavid. Still with something to say about that, and they're offside.
Of your perception of what the time is.
Verhaeghe in the corner, double teamed. 5 minutes to go in the third period. Ekholm trying to skate away from Verhaeghe. Good work by Verhaeghe. Forced the turnover. Barkov sent it in deeper. Verhaeghe dealing with a rolling puck. Bouchard and Ekholm there. And to your point, Ray, if you're Edmonton, this feels like it's taking forever. Barkov put it right into the midsection.
Monster tonight, a goal and an assist.
It was -7 in this Stanley Cup Final entering tonight, but back to his usual form when it matters most. And the Florida Panthers with their trademark forecheck took some time off the clock, shot in by Broberg. 4:15 to go. Bouncing puck, Nurse kicked out by Bobrovsky. Around for Rodriguez. Couldn't run it down in the neutral zone. Nurse across for Broberg. 4 minutes to go. Many of the fans on their feet inside Amerant Bank Arena. Verhaeghe back to the line. Nurse trying to shed Tarasenko. Bobrovsky the save. He got knocked down. The shot from Bouchard. Bobrovsky still down. McDavid. Bobrovsky does not have his stick. He's back on his feet, but without a stick. They desperately need a clear, and they get it from Tarasenko. 3.5 to go.
Check. Do whatever you can to protect this lead.
Bouchard blocked out in front by Reinhart. Sent ahead to Barkov. Taken away by Draisaitl. Ekholm down low. Tough angle shot. It was from Hyman. And now the puck goes past Bouchard. Here's Verhaeghe. Lost it behind the goal line by Bouchard. His clearing attempt. Cairn to Draisaitl. Under 3 minutes to go. Here's McDavid to Draisaitl. McDavid, they're onside. Draisaitl with Forsling moving in. It comes around to Bouchard with some room. Toward the net and tipped over the cage by McDavid. 2:40 to go. How much longer will they keep Skinner in the net? McDavid pestered by Ekblad. It comes to Draisaitl for Bouchard. His shot deflected by Barkov. 2:25 to go. Edmonton with all kinds of pressure. McDavid spins away, centers one, off Bobrovsky, still free. Shot toward the net by Ekholm in deep. And pitched out by Reinhart. Bobrovsky under siege, and he's gotten some timely help from his teammates. 2 minutes to go. Here's Nugent Hopkins. Henrique batted it in, but not deep. Played in deeper by Verhaeghe. Nico Mikkola with Skinner still in the net. Matthew Tkachuk dumps it in.
Tough to get Skinner out till the McDavid group's back. They'll probably need another 20 seconds.
1:40 to go. Here's Verhaeghe. At the line. Offside. Offside. Crowd cheers to save. It didn't matter. The play was... As soon as they can get it in deep, Skinner will come out. Bouchard drives it in. Skinner still out. Ekblad had all kinds of time to loft it out, knocked down at the neutral zone by Ekholm. McDavid had to clear. Here's Reinhart. Sam Reinhart had it poked away by Draisaitl.
Here comes Skinner.
The net is empty with 1:10 to go. A turnover, and then Barkov didn't get good wood on it. This Edmonton group looks tired, and why wouldn't they be? They played almost the entire third period. McDavid down on his knees, lost the puck. And Bouchard goes back after it. They all look gassed in the Edmonton white. Remarkable job to force a game 7. But that they run out of magic, digging out of holes all season. Tkachuk slides it ahead. Evan Rodriguez battling Evan Bouchard. And it's wide. 30 seconds to go. Tkachuk had it blocked. Skated back by McDavid. Then fired back wide of the cage by Rodriguez.
Oh, what a great shift from Rodriguez.
20 seconds to go. One last gasp for Edmonton. Bouchard's pass didn't click with Draisaitl. 12 seconds to go. Florida trying to end it up against the wall, which would be fitting. 3 seconds to go. The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup. For the first time in their 30-year history, the Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champions. They made it about as hard on themselves as they possibly could, battling a valiant Edmonton team that had rallied from adversity all season long. And Paul Maurice, coaching lifer, 30 years in the National Hockey League, has his Stanley Cup.